Being a new teacher is a really exciting and really nerve-wracking time. I can remember receiving all kinds of advice from veteran teachers and exploring the web looking for any gems that I thought might be helpful that I could use in my classroom. And it wasn't until I got into my own classroom, I really started to come into my own and realize that a lot of the advice that I was hearing didn't necessarily apply in my own classroom. So today is a snow day, and since we are out of school, I scoured the web looking at all kinds of articles and videos geared towards new teachers and what kind of advice was really trendy. And I wanted to condense it down to 7 really helpful tips that I saw were fairly common threads in a lot of the advice that I was seeing, and also advice that really resonates for me and things that I do in my classroom. So if you're ready, here are the 7 best tips I have to offer you as a first-year teacher in an inner-city school or a first-year teacher who wants to thrive in year 1. So if you're ready, let's go. Welcome back to my channel. I am Nina Rodriguez, and this is my channel, Misfit to Teach, where I talk about all things teaching and how to stay physically, mentally, and emotionally fit to teach. So if I haven't met you already, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you and I can come together every week. I decided the best way to do this video is to go in reverse order, starting from what I believe is a really valuable piece of advice, but not the most important thing, working all the way down to number 1, my number 1 most important piece of advice, where if you do nothing else for your entire first year, this is what you should be focusing on. So we'll be going in reverse order, starting with number 7. For number 7, the best thing that I can advise you is do not take to heart or do not internalize the warnings that other teachers might give you about incoming students. If you're a veteran teacher, you've heard many times before the warnings that maybe other teachers who mean well might be trying to give the other teachers about rising students. We hear it all the time. Watch out for so-and-so because of such and such. Oh my gosh, you have this kid in your class, you are going to have a heck of a time. Whoa, this kid is off the chain. You really need to watch out, and I would suggest doing this, and this right off the bat so that they know who's boss. Yeah. See, the problem with that attitude is when we step into the classroom with those students, we are already approaching them with bias. We are already approaching them with prejudices and judgments that may not actually be an accurate reflection of who that child really is as a student and as a person. The best thing that I can advise is, while it's always helpful to listen to your veteran teachers, and it's really nice when they are doing all they can to help you, truly the best thing that you can do is give every child a clean slate. We still want to use our own techniques, our own style, and our own ways of being and approaching each child so that we can develop and inform our own relationships. Number 6. I think it's really important as new teachers, but certainly all teachers, to lean on your teacher mentor. The idea that no man is an island is really true when it comes to a school community. So if you want to learn, if you want to grow, if you want to thrive, if you want to vent about things that are happening in your classroom, or you want to sharpen your own skills, really look to your teacher mentor. Talk with them, develop a relationship with them, ask them questions, sit in on one of their lessons if you're able to do that during a class period, and get a sense of what has given that person longevity in their career. Number 5, choose one area of weakness to work on per year, but double down on your strengths. I think this is really an important notion for teachers, because when we look at things like evaluations and reports from frustrated parents and standardized testing. Those things have a real way of impacting who we are as people. When we see failure or we see frustration, we see that our kids are not rising to the occasion in the way that we would want them to, we tend to start internalizing those things and think, well, maybe something is wrong with us. Perhaps if I were just a better teacher, everything would be okay. And I think that comes from a mindset of always focusing on lack. And a mentality of lack is never going to help teachers. Instead, what you want to do, don't internalize the things that you're not good at. No human being was born to excel at every single thing. That's simply the nature of being human. So, when you discover that maybe you're not so good at one particular teaching thing, decide if that's something worth sharpening throughout the school year, and then dedicate some time to improving that step by step over the course of the entire school year. Don't look to change it in 1 week. Don't look to change it in a semester. Instead, focus on small steps and consistency so that you can sharpen in that area and eventually it becomes a place of mastery for you. While you're doing that, continue to be your own hype man. And you be your own hype man by doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on the stuff that you are really, really good at. Piece of advice number 4. No one can do everything, but everybody can do something. So, pick 1 or 2 activities or organizations, events, things that you want to be a part of in your school community, and then say no to everything else. What you'll find as a new teacher, and also a lot of times as a veteran teacher, is that there's always shortage. There's simply not enough manpower in the building to get every single thing done that ought to be done within the school. And that sucks because a lot of the things that have to be done in a school are super worthy causes. So with new teachers, what I have found is their energy and motivation and fresh inspiration are often exploited to the point where those new teachers burn out pretty quickly. You might have administrators or fellow teachers asking you if you want to be in the mindfulness club, asking you if you want to coach a sport, asking if you want to take on after-school tutoring, requiring you to be a presenter at the next PLC meeting. No! Truly, the list goes on and on. And while as new teachers, we might feel pressure to saying yes to all of these things, the reality is that they can zap your teacher energy very, very quickly and make you not want to come back. The bottom line is our energy is a very finite resource and it needs to be concentrated and focused in small areas in order to make the greatest impact. And we don't do that by dispersing our focus among lots of things. So, find the things or the 1 or 2 activities or organizations that you want to be a part of and go full on and all in for those things. To everything else, start making no a part of your teacher vocabulary. My best advice for you in tip number 3 is take time for yourself and do it unapologetically. We absolutely need to take care of ourselves as teachers, but this is especially true for first-year teachers because our life is about to be bombarded in a way that it's never been before. We are going to dedicate our working hours to serving the most vulnerable population among us, which is the kids. And that can be really draining if we are not taking steps to take care of ourselves outside of the classroom. Do not forsake the things that you love and the people and things and places you care about most. Because what you'll find is when you are your most tired, it'll be those things that lift you back up. Do you have some time that you can afford to take a day off? Absolutely do it. And don't apologize for it. The school was standing before you got there, and chances are it'll still be standing when you get back. Okay, this list is really dwindling, and I talked about this next piece of advice in this video here, but it really bears mentioning again. We're talking about figuring how you are going to run your classroom, what will be your routines and procedures, and then doing those things every single day consistently. The best run classrooms are the ones that are consistent. The best run classrooms, the ones where the teachers have minimized poor behavior, where they're maximizing student success, and where they're developing professional longevity, happen because the teacher has cultivated a very consistent culture of predictability and expectations and routines. And that teacher has acted on those every single day. Okay, you have made it with me this far. It is time for my number one most important piece of advice, where if you do nothing else and you just dedicate your whole first year to this one piece, you will come back the following year an even better, brighter, and more capable teacher. So number one, spend the school year building wonderful relationships with your students. Yeah, that's it. It's a pretty unimpressive piece of advice if you think about it, because really what we're saying is simply find a way to get along with your kids, right? Actually, no. The best way we develop relationships with people is when we do the hard work of figuring out what makes them tick. It's when we do the hard work of trudging through difficulties with that person and wrestling with their frustrations and bringing them to a place where they're not giving up on themselves and they want to work hard for you. That's really what teaching is all about at its core. It is helping students to get out of their own way and to learn how to be successful. So, for all of my first year teachers, I would say give yourself some slack this year, let yourself off the hook, and go to the basketball game. Visit with the art club. Spend some time at the book fair. Sign up to be a chaperone for the field trip. Listen to your student when they're crying about their parents' divorce. Really take time to engage with your students on a deeper level other than them being in academia and simply learning in your classroom. Take the time to invest in them and learn who they are as people, because we are very much in the business of people. When you do this one thing of building great relationships over the course of the school year with your students, you'll find that if you did none of the other 6 pieces of advice, you grew as an educator, and also you have kids that kind of like you. Take time this year to get to know your students, and I guarantee you, you will not regret it. So this was my most condensed list of the greatest teacher advice that I have seen floating around the teacher industry these days. And I hope that you were able to get something valuable out of this week's video and that you can use these points when you go back to your own classroom. Before you go, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment about your own teacher experience, because I love hearing from you and I love seeing how you grow in your personal journey, but also in your teacher journey. Thanks so much for watching, and please remember to do all you can to stay fit to teach. Be well.